Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 1 of the Conelanders GT3 Championship presented by Moose. You are watching the perspective of Conelanders 240 in a Glickenhaus GT3-esque car at the Nurburgring GP circuit. This will be a 10-lap sprint race set by a 15-minute qualifying, and will set the order for the 20-lap feature race, which will go up tomorrow. And now, the in-race live commentary. Alright, so qualifying is wrapping up now. Looks like we will be in 5th position unless somebody shoots up the board here in the last second. Times are very close from 2nd place to 10th place. The Glick is a little interesting in that it doesn't have soft tires. Well, it does have soft tires, but they just don't work on the car. They pretty much go off after half a lap. So, me and Servatus qualified on the same tires we'll be starting the race versus the guys behind us. Probably going to go to mediums for the race. They could stay on softs, but I would think you would burn them up. It'll be a really interesting first race here. Everyone, I think, is going to be a little surprised by these cars and just how crazy they can be in a pack. And I mean, it's Nurburgring. You know how turn 1 is at Nurburgring. I was surprised by my time. I was expecting to be somewhere 9th to 10th, that kind of range. So 5th place was a good qualifying effort, and a pretty clean lap. It wasn't a perfect lap, but it was pretty clean. Alright, so we ended up in 7th place. Maestro and Jim got me there at the end, so at least we're on the same outside. I wanted to be on the outside, not the inside, so that'll be nice. Oh, lights are up. Let's go into gear. There we go. It's so weird doing this quietly. Weird, but nice. Let's throttle, let the traction control do its thing. Perfect. Clean getaway so far. Nobody didn't go. Let's see how turn 1 goes here. Got one up my side. So far, so good. One of the things we'll really have to look out for as we go here is that the SCG has the kind of worst brakes of the field. It's got to be careful of being run over. Got one around behind us. I don't know if that was off a bumper or not. Looked like a pretty lazy spin. This is a particularly easy turn to miss. Always has been. I guess this is the first time we've really seen the full layout of this track in Conelanders, but that will be the theme of the season. It will be GT3 style tracks. I'm happy with this start. Oh, lag. That was awkward. I don't know if that was connection or computer. I didn't see it. I didn't see it go down from 60. There is a lot of cars on track. We are actually using quote-unquote modded tracks. They're modified tracks to have more pit stalls. So there's 27 cars on track here. That's more than Assetto would normally allow. We shake out in the 6th position. Good start. See how much later he was on the brakes, that BMW. BMW would have been my 2nd pick. Honestly, I think most of the reason I didn't choose it is because Sharky chose it. I wanted to have the excuse of, well, you got a different car than me. Even though, really, considering my history in GT3, I'd really be surprised to ever really race with him this season. I guess we're braking early here. It's quite a glob we got going, guys. Banged it on me. He has been mighty quick. trying to ease into the brakes just so they see my lights before I actually start braking. Ooh, little lag there. That's one thing I'm going to have to adjust to. I'm no longer the server runner, so I don't get that zero lag privilege. Oh wow, that was a weird off by the by Magnet there. That Lambo though, it does that. The nose will just shoot out on you. Quite a stack up we have going here. I got the whole Lambo team lining up behind me basically. One of them in front of us, Maestro. Well, never mind. They crashed. Alright. We got a little breathing room now. Behind us, anyway. There's still this stack up ahead of us. I feel like I'm being pretty easy on my tires, which is good. Even though this is the sprint race, there's the potential that tire wear could be an issue. That wasn't very good on him, though. Wide there, just to save from sliding the tires. That's one of the parts I've always kind of struggled with GT3 cars in general, is if you take them a little bit offline, if you get a little out of shape, it just kills your momentum so much. I'm not quite used to that. You would think I would be, coming from the Miatas, which are, you know, purely momentum cars. But these are, I think, even more so momentum cars. Considering the amount of grip and downforce that they have, they really don't have that much power. So what you do to make up for it, since you have so much mechanical grip, is you run very low downforce. I think I'm like at 1 on the front and 3 on the back of like an available 15. So very low downforce for a track that is pretty technical. Though these slow turns, you don't get a lot of downforce. Way to completely skip those turns, guys. Use the traction control to get out of the turn. That can hold you back. I know some of these guys out here are not using it at all. Good run there. Gotta not lose the nose through here again. That's the biggest thing. Did a little bit on exit, but not as bad. There was discussion about track limits and stuff, and basically the consensus was we will be doing no apex cutting, which is, oh geez, that was wide. Kind of what you saw there in the chicane. Maestro and Gem cut the apex of the turn. In that case, you should give the position back. But if you clip the entry or the exit, that is considered fair use of the track limits. This is giving me confidence. I had a feeling that this car would be a good long run car. I don't know what tires those guys are on. They're on mediums. Okay, it's down at the bottom. So even with them on mediums, we're still, I think, possibly doing better in the longer run. Because the BMW is super fast for a lap or two, and the Lamborghini is crazy fast for a lap. I just felt like it was going to burn off the tires too quickly. Especially the fronts. A little too deep right there. But we're kind of gaining some space against Gem here. But we're not going anywhere. That's the problem. That was a good sequence there. That was the area Sharky thought I needed to work on the most in practice. Though we're not teammates, Sharky's still helpful. Just the kind of guy he is. This car does have a lot of over-rev protection, which is something that I'm not a huge fan of. When I click, I want it to click. I understand why it exists. It's a very frustrating thing to deal with when you're trying to get the most out of the brakes that this car doesn't really have a lot of. So you may hear me click a lot more times than I'm actually downshifting because I'm having to double click it to get it to go. Hopefully as we go I'll learn its points a little better. Looks like they're going to do a little scrapping here. Should be quite ideal for us. Yeah, there we go. I was hoping to scoot in there. I will not outrun this Lambo. Look at this, I have the draft, and just watch. I had a better run out of the turn, and I have the draft. And that's what happens. I guess that's part of the charm, if you will, of these cars, is that I have their pluses and minuses. BMW is probably much better through this kind of section. Watch Gem here, he's going to be closing in fast. These two guys ahead of us are two that don't give up space. Maestro. Okay. Come on, car. Come on, car. Traction control's got it stalled out. That was one of the things I was most worried about with following a Lambo, is that mid-turn they will just completely stop and stall out. So when I was back on the gas, long before he was back to the gas, I needed to jump back to the brakes a lot sooner than I did, but the closing rate was pretty unreal. End of the day, my fault, I shouldn't have hit him. But it's just very frustrating racing. And I had the same problem racing with Maestro in the Miata. He's just a very, what's the word I could use that makes this not offensive? It's going to sound really weird since I'm the one that just basically spun him out. But he's a very selfish racer in that the track is his, the line is his. If he makes a mistake, the track is still his. And you have to deal with it. That was a failure on my part to deal with it. To watch it after to see if he maybe had a slide or something, why the closing rate was so severe there. That's too bad though. It's not a pleasant way to start the season. I'm sure I'm going to get an earful after the race. Thank God we're not in an open call anymore, though. Try and make up some positions, though. End of the day, I don't think they actually lost any positions out of that. Maybe one. Oh. Now I'm flustered. Still quite a bit of ways to go here. These sprint races are not quite as sprinty as the Miata ones were. Mr. Bob's pretty quick, so I don't think I'm going to close in on him too quickly. Especially if I'm not driving well. Let's see what we can do, though. I'm still driving really well. No real handling complaints. You can see the tires are getting down there. When these tires get yellow, it's a very dramatic shift in grip, for sure. Wow. They may actually be starting to go a little bit already. That was pretty early on the brakes, and it did not want to stop. Yellow there, that's probably just somebody running wide. Unfortunately, if you run off into the asphalt here, it throws a yellow. Back to the gas, about there. There's the marks. The marks are well after I'm back to the gas, showing you just how slow out of the turns that Lambo is there. I've got to do better at learning the differences between the cars in cases like that, for sure. I do think we're slowly catching into Bob here. Bob, who put on a clinic in the last Miata race. I think with a little bit more experience, like a little bit more comfortable racing with us, he's going to be one of the ones to beat. Especially if things start to ballast out again. So I feel like maybe I want to dial a little bit of rear brake into it. It's nice to have the ability to do little adjustments like that on the fly. Let's go ahead and do that. And about 2/10 that lap. That's not quite enough to get there. It's tough because we're in the same car, so I can't hope for a difference between the two as the runs go on and stuff like that. For a mistake, I think. What do we got off there? Spooky Squid. What you doing, Squid? Shouldn't have been playing Overwatch before the race. Well, that tightens things right back up. Interesting to see that group ahead of us is kind of still racing together, despite the kerfluffle. Alright, tires are yellow. Which is good, because we'll be pitting at probably lap 10 for the feature race. And it's mandatory tire change, so that should be right around perfect amount of time on tires. Let's see if we can't get around Squid here. Oh, we got one to the left. And it's Maestro again. Curious to see what happened there. See if it goes back to that same thing I was talking about. This group is really closed in again. This could get interesting here on the last lap. Closing a little bit. This should be the section that I'm closing on him. Lambo doesn't like these tight turns. And we're getting there. We're getting somewhere. It's happening! Ooh, I lost the back end a little. Just wait for him to be able to get back to the gas. Well, even then, it wasn't as bad. Maestro must have had a bobble or something to cause that. Try and use this draft to hold up or keep up with him. She got a good run through there. Just parking it again. I'm gonna call them Team Parking Rainbows. Yeah, well, I don't think we're gonna get that position now. That was the only shot I had. Tried to scoop him into there. It didn't work. Start the season with a 8th place finish, it looks like. Not great. Wish we hadn't had that incident with Maestro. Got a lot to learn. So Sharky takes the win here in the heat. Goonsis in second. Piker in third. Nice podium there. That's 3 really talented drivers. I think without the incidents, we probably should have been 5th or 6th, but yeah. It is what it is.